So what we did last class, can you say something about last class, 9E? Shoaib?
Yes, sir. So in the last class, we have discussed about the Docker, the history, like how how physical machines were so expensive and taking much time for the movement of the apps. So in order to overcome that, uh, we have found a technique called virtualization. Here, the virtual machines only need one. Here, the virtual machines only need one OS in order to operate the 10 servers. But it was taking kind of like much time for the deployment. So we have further found a technique called containerization. Containerization will not only save money but also the movement time also. So containerization basically borrows the OS from virtualization, as it is a dependent of a virtual machine. So which makes it lighter and will help us to fastly in order to move the applications. So that's it from my side.
Thank you. But virtualization, it's not only one operating system can operate multiple machines. Basically, every virtual machine will have its own operating system. And virtualization means what? A kind of technology which allow you to run on a single hardware, multiple operating system you can run. Single hardware. Hardware virtualization. Virtualization, we can say, it's hardware virtualization. But containerization is what? Single OS can allow you to run multiple virtual machines. That is called containers. Is it clear, Shoaib?
Yes, sir.
Fine. We got some information, even we have said something about the terminology. From there, what is container engine? Then we said about what is containers, what is image, and what exactly Docker registry or Docker hub. I hope, have you created your account, Docker hub account? Right. It's very easy, right? So fine. So Docker hub is basically a kind of cloud-based repository of Docker images, where all the images are available. If you want to build any application which is ready to use it, you can pull it and you can just create your container out of it. Can I create container without image? No. That's enter equation, right? I have a Linux machine. On top of that, I have installed my Docker. And I want to pull Windows image. Like I want to have an image which is available for Windows. Can I use the Windows image on Linux? Is it possible? Linux operating
No.
system on top of Docker. That means the Docker is sharing the Linux resources. I want to run Windows image or Windows application. Is it possible? No. The Linux uh, Docker is going to work only Linux images, Linux applications, not Windows. It's enter equation. And if I have a Windows machine, on top of that, I have installed what? Docker. That means Docker is consuming or using resource of Windows resource operating system. So Linux application cannot be run on Windows Docker. Docker can be run on Linux. Docker can be run on Windows. So it's an entry question. Across operating system is not supported here. Cross operating system is not supported. Fine. So that's very important. After that differences, I appreciate Shoaib, you have said well, you understand that. And now you have to understand, you have to say Docker feature. Lightweight, super fast, the application can be deployed in seconds. And lightweight means the size of the images containers is going to work very less, 200, 300 MB or maximum 1 GB. So it's going to be very easy to move from one server to other server, one environment to other environment, dev environment to testing, testing to production. You can move easily because of lightweight, time saving, a lot of time saving. So that's the reason why people go for a Docker. So we are going to go with some practicals here. So now we have discussed about this Docker, the differences between the physical, virtual, container, why people are using. Is there any virtualization and containers? So what do you think? Containers, you're running container application. Is it dependent on virtualization or not? Dependent, right? That means containerization is a kind of application-based containerization. That means it's required an physical or virtual machine. On top of that, you can go ahead. Physical or virtual machine required. On top of application, Docker can be installed. That is dependent on virtualization. We have said something, two differences, a Windows Docker or a Linux Docker. So Docker Hub, how do you extract the, like here, if you want to have an image on Windows, you can take image from the Docker Hub and you can create a containers. And if you have a Linux machine, on top of that, Docker is running, you can pull the images of Linux base and you can just create a containers on that. And container does not have its own operating system. If someone says, what is container? Definition I have said already. Already I have said definition of this. Containers is like a virtual machine. If someone asks you in interview, containers is like a virtual machine but does not have its own operating system. But does not have its own operating system. It's a virtual. Does not have its own operating system. It's rather than it's borrowed from host operating system. And containerization also called as what? OS virtualization. OS virtualization. And virtual machine, if someone want to say like, what is the difference between virtual machine and containerization? Virtual machine is a kind of virtual, it's not a physical machine, which has its own operating system. But compared to container, same kind of definition, but without its own operating system. You can say this way. So your responsibility on a containerization as a job responsibility, what do you do in your job? Create container apps and manage. You have to create container application, means your Nginx, Java, or you have a kind of SQL, you have a WordPress. This all application can be created by you. You have to create. It's a very simple command. And manage it. Creating and managing, it's very simple here. Manage container volumes and network. That means it's not container apps only. You have to understand the volumes and network also. There's a concept called what? Volumes and containers. So now here, you're going to learn about containers management or container volumes and network and Docker file. What is Docker file? What is Docker volume? What is Docker network? What is Docker image? What is Docker container? If you understand volume, network, Docker file, and container, that's enough. You're done with your containerization. You understand? Now, troubleshooting also, because when you are working with this, if you have any trouble, how do you troubleshoot? Have you written these points? Responsibility. Okay. Now, container definition I have given. What is image I have given? Is it possible to create container without image? Docker Hub, Docker registry. What is Docker Hub, Docker registry? I have given all the definition, which is common for interviews. Have you written this point? Am I audible to online, offline? Have you written this point?
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Yeah. That means new terminology, image, containers, like it's basically registry, Docker engine. You should know that. What do you mean by Docker engine? A machine which is running Docker application is called what? That means you have a Docker software installed on the machine, your laptop, having a Docker software installed. So that machine is called what? Docker engine. Docker engine. Engine where you manage your image and containers. Now, once you have done this, you have seen about a Docker Hub account. The Docker Hub account, I can show you here. I'm going for hubdocker.com. You can see here, I'm into this Docker Hub. I want to use it. So I'll go for sign. Quickly, I'll sign up with my account here. Hub.docker.com. Sign up. So I just created my account. Or without account also you can search. Now what I want to say that you have a pro, use your Docker subscription. So it's basically saying that company of more than 250 employees or more than $10 million in the annual revenue requires a paid subscription. When you have this 250 employees or something and you require a lot of work on the Docker, So it's good to go for what? Paid subscription, right? Pro, team, or business. So there are differences they have given, all details they have given. What are the advantage you'll get? That means it's very important to remember this. What exactly the subscription of Pro or personal? Everything personal plus whatever you have used in personal. You can see that unlimited public storage here, repository, Docker engine plus Kubernetes, 200 images pulls per 6 hours. That means there is limitations are there. But here, Docker Desktop Pro. You don't have the Docker Desktop Pro. But here you can have what? Desktop Pro. That means I can install Docker on my system. Unlimited private storage. Here is a public. But here, private. You cannot have a public storage, private storage here. But I can have what? A private repository. 5,000 images pulls per day. Here is going to what? 100. That means when you're working in a professional enterprise level, you have to have your subscription per, and it's going to be $5 per month. So for professional developers who want to accelerate innovation, here it's going to go. Synchronize file shares, local SCART analysis and remediations, and 5-day support response. That means the support will be there. And you have what? Business. You can see here, single sign-on is there, which is not available in Pro. Hardened Docker Desktop, that means security. Security, that means you can have in this. And SCM, user provisioning. So there's a kind of concept, SCM, which is available on an enterprise level. And VDI support, that means the support basically from, you can say, that images, virtual desktop interface can be supported here, private extension marketplace, images access, purchase via invoices, private priority case routing, proactive case monitoring, so monitoring, security, single sign-on, these all features are available in what? Business. So you have a lot of things here. Again, you have about up to 100 seats. So whenever you're using the Docker Hub, so how many people can access, how many licenses you required, everything is going to be mentioned on the features. So I'm going to go forward, continue with personal. In the search, I want to check my images. In Docker Hub, I want to check the images. So how can I check the images? Oh, it's saying please verify email address. So no problem, I can search it directly. I want to search for Nginx. When you search Nginx, you say left side you forward product, images, extensions, and plugins. That means your Docker Hub contains what? Plugins, images, and extensions. And trusted contains. What do you require? It's saying that Docker official images, that means uploaded by Docker team, verified publisher, third party, and open source. OSS means open source, sponsored. That means there are 3 types of trusted contents, which is available in Docker Hub. There is a kind of Nginx image uploaded when? The latest or old one, 10 days ago. Official built by what? Nginx. Now, how many pulls? That means the ratings. It's saying that pulls, oh, a lot of pulls are there. And here, last week's, and 10K plus start. That means here is going to what? 1 billion plus. 1 billion plus uploaded. A lot of people's pull. How many people's? 1 billion. So that means you have another Nginx. Official build of Nginx unit, universal web application server. So it says that 32, and here is reward 100K, but which is very demanded in the market worldwide, 1 billion plus ratings. So I'll go with what? The name of the image is what? You can see the top, Nginx. But if I click on this, it will show what is the name of the image. What is the name? Nginx. But what is the command? Docker pull Nginx. That means this command, if you type on Docker machine, Docker engine, so it will pull that particular Nginx from this Docker hub. Now, you got what I'm explaining is, I'm explaining about official image, verified publisher, sponsored OSS. That means trusted contents are on Docker Hub are three types. So you have to give more priority to what? Official image. The second priority goes to what? Verified. And third, this. That means you have to check the ratings also. You have to check, understand how many people are using worldwide this image. 1 billion plus. Now, we'll talk Kubernetes later because we don't know about a lot of things till now about Docker. So we know something about Docker engine and all those advantages. So when we have some practicals, when we have something, then we'll discuss on Kubernetes. Now, what do you need required here? Installation, right? That means I got idea about Docker and Docker engine, Docker container. I got this, all those things, advantage. But how can I create the container? How can I pull the images from hub? How can I stop the container? How can I start the container? Everything I want to do, I want to learn because I want to support a company. First, you need to install what? Software. Which software? Docker. So if you want to install Docker on a Linux machine, so you use what? Sudo yum. Yum is a software command to install the software on a Linux. If you want to install, those who are new to the Linux, they can write the points of Linux, right? Yum is a command to install or remove or update the software on Linux operating system. Install, the syntax, yum, install the software name, whatever the software you want to install. -y is basically represent what? It should not ask you, you want to continue or not. But I want that predefined yes. So when I say yes, automatically it will start installation. It will not ask you whether you want to continue or not. That is what? -y. So you have to type this command to install this. And then after that, after installing this software, you have to start this service. If you install the service of Docker, there's a command in Linux. In interview, they can ask you, how do you install the software in Linux? You say yum command. And if someone says, how to stop and start the services of any application, you say systemctl, start or stop, service name. After installing this Docker, a service will be running here on a Linux machine. The service, same name. The software name is all same name, Docker. Service name all same name. So you have to stop. Then you have to check whether it's working or not. That means you have to check whether it started or not. How do you check? Systemctl status Docker. So you'll get an idea that whether Docker is running or not on your system. Installation is different. The service is different. After installation, the software is available on your machine, but to use it, it should be running. And enable, permanent start should be enable. Enable command is basically for what? Permanent start. That means if your machine got restarted, so if you do not do the enable, it will not start again. You have to manually again, you have to type this command. But I don't want, if the machine gets restarted, shut down, or whatever it may be, I want my Linux should start always Docker for me. So you have to use what? Enable command. After that, you have to check whether installed or not. What is the command? Docker version. So it will show the version what you are running right now. So once installation is done, service started, then Docker version, you type, you confirm, then you have to add EC2 user to Docker group. Example, I'm saying installing Docker on AWS Linux, or you have Red Hat Linux. So whatever the operating system, AWS having its own operating system, Red Hat is very popular operating system in the market. So if you want to install, you can have the same commands here. AWS Linux. Having a default username is called what? EC2 user. Whenever you launch this machine, AWS Linux, you'll find the username by default is what? EC2 user. So what you have to do means, after installing this Docker, you have to give the power to run this Docker commands to this user. I want to give the power to the EC2 user. To give full privileges to run Docker commands. Why we are adding this EC2 user? That means EC2 user does not have any kind of power to run Docker commands. You have to run the Docker command on it by logging as a word root user. In Linux, there's a root user is basically administrator user. So now, if you want to run command Docker, you have to run commands on what? Root user. But I don't want to go for root user. It's not secure. Always you have to use alternative users. That is called what? EC2 user. EC2 user, if I add this EC2 user to the Docker group, it will get power to run the Docker commands. So how to add it? What is a command in Linux? User mod -a g capital G. Docker. Docker is a what? Group name. After installation of Docker, a group automatically created with certain permissions. So now, when I say user mod Docker group, the name is Docker, and EC2 user, that means I want to say that I want to add this user into this group. I want this user to be added to which group? Docker group. Is it clear now? After adding this, you have to reboot your machine in order to affect the permission should be applied. You have to restart the machine. How to restart the Linux machine? An interview question they can ask. You say sudo reboot. Reboot is a command called what? For restarting. So in Linux, you have understood the commands yum, systemctl, and usermod and reboot. 4 commands you have learned. Is it clear, everyone? Any questions, please?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Now, you have written the points. Now, there is no need to. I need to go for after adding this command. Example, after adding this user to Docker group, whenever I want to run any Docker command, I do not require sudo because EC2 user got power. So EC2 user directly run the commands. There is no need to go for what? Sudo. Now, we got this point that what we have done. So I want to do a kind of practical. So I want Linux. Where should I install Linux? We have a choice. If I want to install the Linux, I have a choice. What are choices are there? Example, install on physical machine or virtual machine, and you can say cloud or container. That means you can have multiple these things. You can say just up to here, physical, virtual, and a cloud. That means, which is cheaper and easy? Cloud. So what do you require? You required account. You required an account. Already we have created account, I think, right? You have account. Everyone having account online, AWS account.
Yes, sir. Yes,
If
sir.
you don't have account, you can just the best option to do your Linux or Windows. If you want to install on physical, is you need what? Separate. You have to install, like you have to remove your Windows, then you have to install your virtual machine, or else you can install some software called what? VMware, and you can run multiple operating system on a single machine. That is virtual machine. So that means you need to do what? A lot of work. You have to install software. You have to download software. You have to maintain. You have to upgrade your RAM, CPU. A lot of things you have to do. So why to go with this all complication? Directly go for what? Sign up the cloud account, AWS or Microsoft Azure. From there, you can launch Linux and Windows in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. There is no need to download, install anything like physical, virtual, what we do. So cloud is going to be very helpful. So what do you say? So we'll go for what? Cloud. In like on virtual machine, like on your, you can say physical machine, what do you have to do? Install Linux, then install Docker. You have to go with this. It's a long process. How much time is going to take? 42, 60 minutes, right? Depend on your RAM and CPU. And it will get disturbed to your data also. If you have already Windows machine is running, you have to remove the Windows machine, you have to install the Linux. But on virtual, so what you have to do? Example, I have a Windows machine. I have a Windows, already Windows machine is there. On top of Windows OS, install what? VMware software. VMware workstation. What is that? Workstation. Create virtual machine. Linux. Create virtual machine of Linux. So it takes how much time again? Here 40 to 60 minutes, but at least here what? 30 minutes. So now, if you go for cloud, if you want to go for cloud, AWS or Azure, or you go GCP, Google. So how much time? If you have already account, created account, create a AWS or Azure account, okay? Then you have to go for what? It's going to be 2-minute job, 5-minute job. If you have already created, just create what? Virtual machine. Create virtual machine in what? And install what? Install Docker. So here, same here. So here you have to say what? Install Docker. Linux virtual machine. Install the Docker. How much time does it take? Hardly 5 minutes. You see here, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and 5 minutes. And very cheaper, very faster. So now, if you have already account, example, if you want to create, how do I create? How do I create AWS account? So it's very simple. Go for aws.amazon.com, create account, a new account, you'll get option, and then you'll find what? Your email address, verify, and username, it will ask password, set the password, it will ask general information from yours, that is first name, last name, your address, contact number, and they'll go forward. Debit or credit card information, which do what? US dollar, sorry, 2 rupees INR, right, will be debit and credit. It only for verification, only for verification. It will not deduct any money without any permission from you. It's not automation, automatic cutting, or no. Is it only that step you can do it? Very simple. If you want to create, if you are very new, you can go for this. aws.amazon.com. On the right side, you'll find option called what? Get account. Then you have to give your email address. You have to give account name and verify. You'll get cross-check. Whatever the name you have given, what is the verify. Once you confirm, then automatically it will go for what? Your general information, last name, first name, password, everything you can set up. And credit card, debit card. And it will ask you individual or organization. You have to say individual. We are working on individual. So this way you create account. Once you have created, so those who do not have an idea, please create account. Very simple. It's like a Gmail account. How do you create? Now, once you have account, you can just sign up with this account. Sign into console. Once you are signing into console, it asks you that console name. So I'll check here my console account name. Just wait. I use my account details, credentials. After creating account, you can just log in like this. Console, right? Log into console. This is your first page of your AWS account. Because I want to run my Docker. The cheapest and easiest way is what? Cloud. Cloud technology gives you cheapest and very faster creating your virtual machine. So now, in this here, I want to just say what? Which service? Cloud offering 200 plus services. Every service have their own purpose. But if I want to launch Linux and Windows operating system on cloud, so you have a service called what? EC2 service. So when you just click on this EC2 service, it will open the dashboard of EC2 here. And here on the right down side, you have orange button, launch instance. Example, I want to launch instance. Just click on this, launch instance. Just getting slow, just wait. So you have to click on what? Launch instance. So now you have what? A kind of box name. Is asking about name. So I want to say what? Docker engine, right? And it's asking about, do you want to install Docker on Windows or Linux, Ubuntu or Mac or where? You can install anywhere. There's no restriction of operating system. The Docker can be installed anywhere. You can just make a point. Are you writing some steps? Please be write steps so you can easily do the practice. So I want to choose AWS Linux. You can use Red Hat Linux or AWS Linux. Linux is very compatible to your Docker. Because Docker is a what? Open source. Docker is a open source software, free software. So now, when I scroll down, it's saying about instance type. You have to use free tier. Because your account is created in free and Amazon is not charging for you. You have to ensure that you have to select only free options here, right? Free tier. That means 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM they are giving free. Machine they are giving. There is no charge for you. And key pair. It's saying the security. Do you want to have security for this machine? Docker machine to log in? You want to allow someone to log in and do the practice? So if I want to say that, proceed without key pair. Because I want to connect the Docker machine here in the console itself. I don't want to connect from outside. So you can say what? Just say it this way. Who are very new, just follow the steps, the default steps here. There is nothing to worry about, a lot of things. And you just scroll down, skip all the things, keep same thing. And for what? Launches. That's it. So once you have done this, click on the instance option. You will be returned to the dashboard of the instance. And you see that a Docker engine name. A virtual machine is ready. Just now I have clicked launch instance. It's saying what? Pending status is what? Pending. When you click on this refresh box, it's saying what? Running. Now your Linux box is ready. But you have not installed Docker. You have to install it. So to install it, you have to click on connect. Then scroll down, say connect. That means you're connecting the Linux machine which is running on which region? We have selected what region? North Virginia. That means by sitting in Hyderabad, I'm connecting to what? North Virginia. When I say connect, it's connecting the operating system which is running on North Virginia data center. So I got this Linux screen. This black screen is called what? Linux shell. Linux shell. Now, on this Linux shell, I have already given the command. The command what I said just now, sudo yum install, these all commands you have to type one by one. So I'll type here. Sudo yum. You can start, if you have a machine, you want to start with me, you can start. It's good to go. Sudo yum install docker minus y. It's seconds. There is no delay. Even Docker is very lightweight software. That means Docker will be installed in a word 10 to 20 seconds. That's it. 10 seconds. It's done. It says completed. You can see here completed. Once you have done this, what you have to do? Start the service of the Docker. The command is what? The Linux command is systemctl. Start and you have to instruct which service? Docker. Whether it started or not, you have to check. So same thing, you have to say status. So it will show it's running or not. You can see it's saying active and running. So now what you have to do is Now you have to do what? Sudo systemctl enable. As I said, permanent start should be what? Enable. Which service? Done. Now once you have done this command, start, enable and everything, then you have to add the user add, user mod, right? You have two options. You can see here, there's an option called what? User mod. Minus A means add, append. G means group, secondary group. Now here, what is the group name? Docker. Which user you want to add to Docker? EC2 user. That means I'm saying to Linux, please add this user to this group. Once it's add, so the EC2 will have a command. Example, if I do not use this command, what happened? Let's see. Without adding, if I say docker command, docker pull nginx. Example, this is a command for pulling the nginx image to Docker. So when I use the command, it's saying what? What is saying? Remember this point? But I want to give permission to EC2 that there should not be any error. EC2 user should execute the commands of Docker. If you want to use this, so you have to say what? Sudo user mod minus A capital G and say Docker and EC2 user, and when I enter it, so it's added. But now how to check it? Again, same command. I'm saying pull nginx. It will not give error, but it's giving error or not? Again, it's giving error. Why? I need to restart the machine. In order to affect this command, user mod, you have to restart the machine, right? How to restart? That's it. Now, after reboot, you just refresh the page. It will try to connect. Only reboot. That's it. Write down the command in your book. It's very important in your book, the step-by-step process to be done. What I'm doing at the time you write is going to be sequence. Just refresh the page, it will again connect. It takes 20 seconds. Once your Docker is your machine, your EC2 machine, Linux machine get restarted, you'll get again the command prompt. Yes, you got a command prompt here. Now it's time to do what? Docker commands. Before that, I want to check whether Docker is running or not. I'll say what? Version. When I say Docker version, it's saying 25. In interview, they can ask you which version you work. You say 25.0. That means the version is what? 25. Docker version is 25. Make a note. You're working on which version? Docker 25.03. The current version of Docker is 25. Interview, they can ask you a simple question. Which version you work? And now, it's good to go forward. Common command, daily use cases. Daily, what command you're going to use? The question is what? How to pull from Docker Hub. How to pull image. In interview question, they can ask, how to pull the image from a Docker Hub. So the command is what? Docker pull image name. What is image name? It can be any software name, WordPress, Nginx, Tomcat, HTTPD, MySQL, whatever the images, lot of images, whatever the company's required images are available, thousands of images are available in what? Docker Hub. But you have to give exact name. Example, if the image name is Nginx 1 onto Docker Hub, you have to give what? Nginx 1. But If you type Nginx, the wrong name, it will not able to find. So you have to make sure that it should be correct. If you don't know the name, you go to Docker Hub and you have to do what? You have to type here. And when you type Nginx, you'll find what is the name of that image name? Nginx, same name. So what you can do? You can execute Docker pull Nginx. So let's see here in a practical manner. I'm going to my machine. I'm going to have what? Docker pull. Which image? Nginx web server. I want to create a web application, web server application. That means I don't want to install the software. I want to just pull which is already ready to use from Docker Hub. So when I say Docker pull Nginx, that's it. Just check out the time. For Nginx pulling, how much time is going to create? It's going to what? 2-3 seconds. 2-3 seconds. You're ready. Image is ready. But image is what? Basically a source. Container is what? Where you're interacting, where your application is running. Container is a what? A kind of virtual machine, basically a virtual machine. But image is what? Only source file. Now you have pulled the image. If you want to pull one more, pull WordPress. So what is the command? Docker pull WordPress. WordPress is a big software. That means it will take full internet speed, depend on internet speed. Right now today, like I think that signals are not good. It's taking time, but it's going to what? 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Your Docker, how many images you have pulled now, till now? How many images? 2. I want to check images, how many images are there. So a local machine, how many images we have? How to check it? What is the command? Docker images. Write down how to check images, downloaded images. You can see it's showing that WordPress and Nginx latest, and 7 days ago, 11 days ago means it is uploaded 7 days ago, 11 days ago, latest. Recently someone uploaded. So created, this image is created, is not old, it's a new one. WordPress size is what? 685 MB. And Nginx space is what? 188 MB. So you got pull the image and you have seen how like images is downloaded or not. So now I want to create a container out of this image. Docker run. What is the command to create container? This pull is done. I hope you have written this command. The first command is pull, and commands are very simple. Every command starts with docker, 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 docker. Then you have a very simple language. They're using English common words: pull, push, create. Done. Next. What is the command? How to create a container? In an interview, they can ask you a simple question: how to create a container on Docker? So what is it? Docker run. The command is what? The simple answer is what? Docker run. If they say, please can you say full command? Docker run it name. Then you say the name of the server and the image name. What image name? Nginx. I want this image to be used to create that container. Which image you have to use for that container creation? Nginx. And it need to be run in bin bash. That means separate shell should be assigned. Which shell? Bin bash. That is bash shell. You have to give /bin/bash. So what is the full form of IT? Interactive terminal. This run command basically is not only creating container, it's downloading the image first. Creating the container, this run command, but the IT, the option, whatever you're writing here, IT is connecting to the container. Interactive terminal means what? IT. Connect to it. Download, create container, and connect the container. Syntax also have given. New CNAME means container name. Docker run IT hyphen name 2 times hyphen. Remember this point, 2 times hyphen. New container name, whatever the name you want to give. Image name, Nginx, WordPress, whatever the name of image you can give it. And the shell name. To run that particular container, which shell it need to be used? I'm saying in bash. So that means it will use the shell of Linux that is called bin bash shell. Done with this, create.
Yes, sir.
For the name, you have to give 2 times hyphen. Okay? Not IT, only this. It's very simple, but you have to remember how to type it. And what is the meaning of each one? Run command is basically what? Even it downloading and creating the container. One command can work on what? Multiple actions. No need to do pull separately. Example, if I do not pull, can I use the run command without pull? Yes, because run also do what? Pull. It will do pull and as well as create a container. So it's an interview question. That means run will do what? 2 options. It will pull and create a container. No need to do separate pull. Now I want to run the command. Docker run. What is the command? Please help me. Name. I want to say what? My web server. I want to give a web server name. And what which image I'm going to use? And what is the shell I want to give? Now I'm creating a container. To create container, how much time it takes? Check out now. When I write the command and when I'm enter, I'm just doing what? Enter. So how much time it takes? Done. That means to create Nginx in virtual machine, you have to launch the virtual machine, you have to run some commands of Nginx, install sudo yum, something, you have to do all those things. But now Nginx is ready. Nginx is ready. When I type this command, you got a prompt. Which prompt? Root @ something and hash. You're not into EC2 user. You see that EC2 user is what? Is your Linux command prompt. But when I type this command, I got different command, different prompt. That is called what? Root and hash. That means you are into container. You are into what? Container. You are not into your Linux host machine. So after this command, you got this prompt means you are into container, not in host machine. Now, when I say ls, so I am typing the command in where? Host or container? Container. Container having this. Example, I am creating a directory, mkdir. I want to say project 1. To create a directory in Linux, there is a command called what? mkdir space project 1. When I type, it's creating. The directory is created under host or container. Because I'm right now in what? Container. Because don't confuse the black screen. Because black screen does not give different windows. So you will have only you have to identify that you are into container or not on the prompt by using this root @ something xyz and hash prompt, right? That means you are into a container. So once you have done this, if you want to exit from the container, what do you type? So I want to exit from the container. Exit. Now it's giving word EC2 user. That means I'm into which prompt? OS prompt, right? That is your host operating system. Host operating system. This is your machine. This is your hardware, 1 GB, 1 CPU, and you have an operating system. On top of that, you have installed what? Docker. Docker is running here. Your hardware, and you have a what? Host OS. That is Linux, what you are right now using. Your Docker is running here on top of OS. So your container is going to run. You have just launched which container? Nginx. Your container is created like this. So right now we are into cloud, and we are using what? This machine. We have launched into cloud in which region? North Virginia, right? North Virginia. So now this machine running under what? AWS cloud. So now what machine we have taken? Amazon has given 1 GB and 1 CPU RAM. 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM. And operating system what we have taken? AWS Linux. We have installed Docker. Which version? Right? And now we have created a like container with the help of command, and the container is running. Container is running. So if I want to connect this container, what the command I have to type? Images and container management. After creating a container, what you have to do? What are the common operation you have to do? Example, I don't want container. I don't want no container. So I can delete the container. Temporary, I want to stop the container. I can stop the container. After few hours, I need again container. So I have to start the container. I want to stop. I want to start. I want to delete the container. If I want to do this, I can go with commands. Every command will work very simple. Docker start, container name. Docker stop, container name. Very simple English they are using. Docker connect also. We have a command called local images. If you want to see, example, interview question, they'll ask this question. Whatever your images is storing on your computer, whenever you pull and images are storing on your computer, the default location is what? Where your images will be stored in your computer? /var/lib docker. Interview question, please write down this. They'll ask this question to you. That means whatever the images and containers you're storing, where is that location? You say var, lib and docker. Docker will store your container images will store in this location /var/lib and /docker. So if I want to see the container Docker images on my system locally, so what is the command? But simple, Docker images. How to see the containers, whether containers I'm having or not, or whether the status, whether it's running or not. I want to check the containers are there or not in my machine, whether the status, whether running or not. What is the command? Docker ps. You have to say what? Docker ps. Or you can say Docker ps space a. What is the difference between ps and psa? PS means it will show all the containers which are running. Minus A means it will show all the containers which are running, which are not running. A means all. Docker images, Docker PS command, PS to see the containers. Images are basically to see the images. If you want to search the Docker images on Docker Hub, so you have to say Docker search and image name, Nginx, WordPress, MySQL. It will show the available images is available on the Docker Hub or not. On Linux prompt only, I can type this search command on Docker Hub. It will show, it will check to the Docker Hub and will say that result whether the Nginx is there or not, WordPress is there or not, Tomcat is there or not. It will show. How to exit from a container? Simple exit. If I want to start the container, what is the command? Docker start, container name. Docker stop, container name. Very simple commands. You have learned at least 10 commands, I can say. Docker pull is one command. Docker run, second command. Docker images, fourth command. Docker ps, fifth command. Docker search, 6. Exit, 8. Start and stop, 9 and 10. Very simple command. Once you exit the container, but again I want to connect the container. So what is the command? The two commands are there, attach and exit. If you want to connect the container, so you have to use what command? Attach and exit command. There are two commands are there. So always recommended to go for what? Exit command. Exit command is best to go because it will not stop your container. Question, answer I have given. Done with the commands?
Yes.
When you write, you memorize it. Remember this point. That's why I'm giving. I can give a soft copy for this all the commands. But when you listen, when I execute a lot of commands, you'll get confused. Oh, sir has typed already 15 commands. That's why it's good to go for basic writing. If you know images, start, stop, attach, exit, that's enough. You'll play with that now. Now, I'm going to demonstrate practically. Check out here. I want to check how many containers are there. I want to check. Already I have executed a command called docker run nginx, right? I want to check. First, images. So how many images are there? Can you say that? How many images I have? 2 images. What first? I want to check docker ps. So it's showing any containers? No containers. Because it's stop. That's why. ps minus a. If I type minus a, it's showing that one container is there. The container ID automatically created. And the container name is basically on the right side. What I have given? Web server. And here, how much time it's created? 1 minute ago. That means you created the container just last 11 minutes ago. And the status is what? Exited. That means the container got stopped 9 minutes ago. So if you want to see whether it's running or not, you can check in status. Exited is going to be stopped. Up means what? Start. The status can be up, can be exited. Exited means stop, up means running. So we got an idea how to check the container name, how to check the status, how to check the date and how much time it's created, and what image they have used for the container. and automatically a container ID is created. Automatically a container ID is created. Now I want to connect the container again. So to connect container, in interview question they can ask you, if you want to connect container, you have to start the container first. If this container stops, you cannot connect. You have to start. Now the status of the container is what? Stop or start? Stop. So what I have to type? Start. Container name is what? The name is here. So you can use container ID also. So container name is better than container ID because friendly name. Started or not. So if I want to check started or not, you have to use what command? PS command. So it's saying what? Up. Up means what? Running. So now I can say what? Docker exec -it. The name of the container is what? Web server. And then I have to say what? Bin bash. When I say Docker exec, I want to connect the container. Right now I'm into which prompt? EC2 user, right on this point, right? So when I say connect to this container, so when I enter, we'll connect it to what? The prompt change. You can see that? The prompt change. That means if I create a file, if I install any software, anything, it is under what? Container. It's not on OS, your host operating system. So if I want to do this, ls. The command ls is a Linux command to see the list of the directories and files. Those who are new, they can write down command. ls command is a Linux command. It's not a Docker command. All Docker commands start with what? Docker, Docker, Docker. Other than commands are Linux commands. So it's showing that some directories here. I have created what directory earlier? Project 1. Is there or not? Yes. So it's stored here. I want to create a file. In Linux there is a command called what? Touch. Touch. File 1. File 2. When I create an ls command to see whether it's created or not, so you can see that file 1 and file 2 created. So this file and directory is created under what? Container or host operating system? Container. Because I am right now in a container, right on the command. Because in container you cannot execute the Docker command. You have to exit and you have to run the command where? From the host operating system. Because your Docker engine is running on what? Host operating system. Now, I have done this. If I want to install one more software, example sudo, I want to check the operating system here. I want to check the operating system. How to check? Cat etc OS release. What is the command to check operating system? It's a Linux command. Suppose you have downloaded Nginx and you have created the Nginx container by using Nginx image, but I don't know the image who created and who uploaded into Docker Hub, which operating system they are running. Is it Red Hat Linux or Ubuntu or what? I don't know. But if I want to know after connecting the container, I can use a command called what? cat/etc/os release. OS release. Enter. When I type the Linux command, if you want, you can write down the purpose. So now it's saying that command not found. There is no need to go for. We'll go for what? So it's saying what? Whenever the code name is Debian, that means the name is what? Debian. Debian is not a Red Hat Linux. Debian is a what? Ubuntu. Write down this point. Write down interview question. They can say, what do you mean by Debian? Debian is a Ubuntu Linux. It's not a Red Hat Linux. If you want to check the operating system on Linux, what is the command? cat/etc/os-release. So you can check the version as well as you can check the Ubuntu. Which version is saying? 12. Ubuntu 12. So I'm checking the OS version of what? Container. Now once you have done, You have checked the container. So what is the command in Ubuntu? apt. If you want to install any software, you have to use apt command. But in Red Hat Linux, you have to use what? Yum. Make a point here. I'll give this. How to check OS information on Linux. Cat etc OS release. Or install packages. Packages means software on Linux machine. There are command word yum for Red Hat, AWS, CentOS. But apt command for what? Ubuntu. So Ubuntu can be called as which family? So now I want to install this in apt by using apt. So what do you do? Sudo apt install git. Only difference is what? Yum and apt. The commands are same. But apt command work on Ubuntu. It will not work. It will not use yum. So I want to install the git software on the container. Can I install the git software? Yes. I connected now container. So I'll do what? I'm in the root command. Directly I can say what? Apt install git. It's saying unable to locate. So what you have to do? Apt-get update. That means first you have to do what? Update the operating system. When you update the operating system, it will allow to install the packages. If you're getting error that when you install, the command is right, but it's saying that unable to locate the packages. So what do you have to do? Apt-get update. Before installing any software in a first time in a container, you have to write what? Apt-get update. To update container. So now I did the command here. It's updating. It's done. It's working. Done. Now, if I use the same command, earlier we have said git. So whether it's working or not, let's see. Earlier it was given error, unable to locate. Same command I'm ready. Installing or not? So that means if you want to install new packages in container, first update the container with the latest packages. Then install, use the command apt install git software. So I install the git software where? In container or host machine? Container. Now I did my job and I want to exit it. So I'm right now into where? Host machine. So if I say ls, I'm getting any files? It's available in container, not in OS. So I'm using what? Git command. Is it git command is what? Bat command is saying. Git is not installed on host machine. Git is installed in what? Container. Now I want to check whether Docker container is running or not. Docker PS is running up. When you exit from the container, it will again running. But by default, if you do not connect the container with exit command, it will get stopped. When you exit container, remember point, make a point. When you exit container, it will get stopped. When you exit the container will get stopped. Now we get this point. I think you have written this images, stop, start, exit, attach, everything is done. Starting, stopping, checking the images, checking the containers, or connecting again containers is a very important basic. So you can create hundreds of containers in the same manner. Done?
Yes, sir.
As I said, this command is Linux to check if your images are basically the containers are Linux based, so you can execute the commands on Linux on the container also. Can I execute Docker command in the container? No, because Docker is installed where? In host. So it will not work on container. If you type Docker something command, it will say invalid command. Invalid command. Up to here clear, everyone? It's a basic. I want assignment. I'm going to give assignment on this. You have to do this, okay? Containers. Now one more. I'll say how to connect, exit command, how to delete command. Okay. Now write down a delete also. Example you created. I want to delete the container. I want to delete the images. What is the command? Simple. Docker. If you want to delete container, you have to say what? Docker rm. Rm means remove container name. Simple. Container ID or container name. How to delete container? Rm. If you want to delete image, you have to say rmi. I means what? Image. Remove image. Image name. Docker rm container name. Docker rmi image name. Remove. Rm means remove. I means what? Image. Write down this. How to delete container? How to delete images? Interview. Simple question. So you start creating, starting, stopping, connecting, and then deleting. It's a life cycle. Create and delete. Delete container, delete image. Simple command. Rm, rmi. Now I want to delete it. So I'll demonstrate here and I'll finish it. Docker rmi. I want to delete what? Image. What image? Nginx. It says conflict. Error reference. That means a container is using. Container is using. Must force. Now it's saying that I need to go for what? Forcefully I have to remove. Now I'll say what? Docker stop. Which container name? If I stop the web server, now if I, after stopping, if I run the command docker image run, make a point, if you want to delete the container, it should be in stop position. It is running position, you cannot delete. Interview question, can you delete a container, running container? No. You have to say stop. If I say rm, container name is what? Delete it. If I want to check, docker ps minus a, it's nothing is showing. Docker rmi, the name is what? Engineer, delete it. Or one more command, one more, you can say docker. If you want to see, yes, it's showing only WordPress. It's not showing Nginx. Docker rmi WordPress. WordPress. Delete it. Now, if I want to check the images are there or not, nothing. Docker ps minus a, no images, no container. I created, I deleted. I created and deleted. Make a point that container cannot be deleted when it's running. When it's running, it need to be stopped. Must be stopped. I hope it's clear now up to here, everyone. Only you have to copy this, not all command, because already done. So now on the base of this command, I'll give some assignments. You have to do practice more because seeing is different, doing is different. So you have to believe on doing, not seeing or listening. You have to be very practical in IT. So today what we have learned, installing the Docker, giving the permission to the EC user so it can run the commands, directly Docker commands, how to pull the images from the Docker Hub, and how to create a container with the help of Docker run command, then how to see the Docker images, how to see the Docker containers status, and how to exit from the container, how to connect the container, and how to delete a container, or how to delete the images. We have seen up to here. Once you're done very good up to this command, practice more and more, then all the commands, rest command is going to be very easy for you. The concept you have to understand: volume, network, and Docker file. Docker file is commonly used in CI/CD process. So definitely interviewer asks you what? Docker file. Do you know how to create Docker file? We'll do that. So I'm just closing this session. Any questions for me now? Online. It's very simple. All commands works with Docker, Docker, Docker. So with a black screen, it's very faster, and it will not show multiple windows. It will show only prompts. You can understand whether you're into container, you're into host machine. Shravani, Subham, or Satya, have any questions?
Sir,
Yes.
what is the purpose of attack, sir?
Okay. Attach and exit. Have you written the commands or not?
Yes.
What do you have written, please? Show.
Attach is for container to get stopped when you exit from the container, and you cannot stop container.
Okay. You know the differences between exit and attach. When you use the command, both commands can be used for what? Connecting.
Okay.
But if I use attach command and if I exit from the container, it will get stopped.
Okay.
But if I use exit command, it will not get stopped. That's the difference.
Okay.
Attach and exit difference is what? For both are basically to connect container. But exit command will not get stop your container. It will continue running container. Example, your container is being used by multiple developers. I created this container for developers. They are using the application. So now, if I use attach command, it will get disconnected if the container stops. So I'll use what? Exit.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Next, please. Any questions? Yeah. Naini, do you have any questions? Are you doing practice? Naini, I want screenshot everyone, please. I'm going to give assignment now. Yeah, Naini.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please do the practice. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Docker image. Docker image example, you want to install MS Office software in your computer. So what you have to do? You need software first. Then you can install it. The software is what? Source file. That means if you want to create a container, I need a source file. What is that? Docker image. Docker image is what? Source file to create a container. You cannot create a container without image. Image is what? Source file, supporting file to create container. Is it clear? Same thing. Sorry. VI command is for creating a file. Editing a file and creating a file. If you want to write, you can write. VI command is for editing a file or creating a new file. Yes. Sorry. Touch only for create empty file. Empty file is different, and vi file is what? Vi, when you use vi command, it's not also create, but it will allow you to write like contents. It's like a notepad. When you open notepad, you will get a page, and you type and you save it. Getting point? And desktop, if you right click new file, it will not allow you to create something. It's only create a file. In notepad, if you open it, you type it, right? You know, Windows machine, you here right click and you say what? New, and you say what? File example, bitmap image, or notepad text document. It will just create an empty file. But if you open a notepad, you find that page, right? You can type something and you can save it. Now you can save it this way. That means vi allow you to type the contents, then save it. But touch command will not allow you anything. It will create a name file with a name, but does not have any contents. Touch command also for same thing. Vi command also same thing. Is it clear? So are you attending the online AWS class? So tomorrow, like today, we are going to have what? Linux. We are going to have Linux. You will get more understanding on Linux. Because before I go to the AWS and Azure, we'll have a Linux practicals. Today we are going to have Linux. There is no worries. Yes. No. Ask the question from there only. No. Q. Press Q. Control C. Enter. Enter. Whenever you stuck any commands, you have to press Control C. If it is not giving the prompt, Control C to break the command. Now I'll give assignments on Docker. You have to do the assignment, please. host operating system. Host operating system, when you connect to the container, automatically, how to connect a container? You say, you have attended a class. I said my question is what? Your question, according question, you have to answer. Docker exec. Docker exec or Docker attach, but I have shown you the exec minus team. I said container name and /bin/bash. That means if you want to connect to the container, you have to use exec command. When you use this, you will get what? Root access. That means the container will get connected as a root user. Please. Sorry.